Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Warwick Science's Year 7 filmed practicals on chemical science, and this one is going to be around the separation techniques of decantation and filtration. Now, we use decantation and filtration in separating insoluble substances. Okay, you can't filter and you can't decant a substance that dissolves in a solvent, so you can only do it for insolubles. Now, what I've got here to be able to show is some marbles in water, and that's just because, again, as long as it is insoluble, it really doesn't matter, and marbles are insoluble. Now, a way that you can basically do it is you can pour it out. Now, I can do it by just pouring one of these into another. Okay, now that's really easy when you've got marbles in the bottom, but more difficult when your insoluble substance is a little bit smaller. But even in saying that, you know, one fell in, so that can create a bit of a drama. Okay, a better way than pouring it, of course, is to use a stirring rod. So what you can do is you can place a stirring rod into the other beaker, and then you can basically pour the liquid down, and what that does is that enables the water to be attracted and stick to the, in this case, the glass, and it actually just falls down, and it's quite easier. It actually has the advantage also when you've got larger insoluble particles to help catch them, to stop them from dropping in. So that's a really easy technique that you can use, and you can use something like a pop stick or a piece of wood or a ruler or a glass rod. It really doesn't matter, and you can see there that it sort of stops it. So that's a really easy way to do it. This is a better way if you've got very small particles like sand compared to larger particles like marbles. The other technique that we use for insolubles is around this process of filtration, and to filter we need a couple of things. We need a filter funnel, which is this one here. We need a filter stand, which is this one here, and then we need something to separate the insoluble from the soluble. So we use this, which is a piece of filter paper, just a bit of sort of rough and special paper. In order to fold it, you fold it once in half, like so. Then you fold it in half, like so. And then you open it up where there's 3 bits of paper on one side, which is down here, and one up there. And you simply place it into there. Now, you can get different sizes of paper. Underneath we need to put a beaker, and here is my in this case my water solution. Okay, so I'll just give it a bit of a stir. Now then what you do when you pour it through is you make sure that your water level doesn't go above that of the filter paper, otherwise the material will travel down the side. So now you can start to see there that it's starting to drip through. Okay, I'll just put a little bit of sand in there so you can see the effect. Okay, I'll just put a little bit of sand, just drop a little bit of sand in there. Okay, so that way we can actually see the effect. And obviously this is a much slower process, but you'll notice that it actually takes out all of the substance. Now, what you've got here is you've got the filtrate, and that's the liquid that's left over because that's obviously been filtered. Then up in here you'll have the residue, and the residue basically is the substance that is left over. So that's your insoluble substance up there. This works really well for filtering and separating very fine particles like sand and the like. Now, I'm just going to leave that there for a little while. I'll speed the video up a bit so you can actually see it work, and then when it's finished I will pull it out and show you what is, well, actually in fact show you the residue that is left over. Okay, so the filtration's finished now. So again, you can see we have this beautiful clear liquid, so it actually does filter out every insoluble particle. Any soluble particles that are in there have stayed in, but any insolubles have been filtered out. And then when you look on the actual paper itself, then as you can see there, you can see all of the sand, so you're left with the residue. So that is the residue of the insoluble substance, and that works really well for anything that's insoluble. It takes a little bit more time than decantation, but I think you get a better job. Again, you still lose a little bit of the water because it stays on the paper, but essentially you can get most and collect most of the water. So that's the processes of decantation and filtration, which we use to separate insoluble substances only. Thanks for accessing Warwick Science's Year 7 Film Practical on decantation and filtration.